You know how we thought there was a chance the Rams were going to run roughshod over the 49ers? Guess what? The Rams ran roughshod over the 49ers. What is good, everybody? Welcome to the Gold Standard Instant Reaction Podcast. We are part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. He is Levin Black. It is over, Levin, and mercifully so.
I mean, it's pretty much what I expected. So I guess I'm not going to wet blanket this one because I saw things that I was encouraged by, and the bad things I saw is exactly what I expected. And I don't know that there's much the Niners can do about it because it's just you're playing a really good offense with a quarterback who's playing as well as any quarterback in the league right now, and you don't have the horses. Like this is the reality the Niners have now. That if they face a team that is playoff caliber and they have a good game plan and players who aren't just making mental mistakes left and right, there's not much the Niners can do about it because they simply don't have the talent.
They don't have the talent, but also they were out-schemed in this one. I'm sorry. Robert Saleh got taken to the woodshed today. The Rams went with 13 personnel. They went with 3 tight ends, and Robert Saleh had no idea what to do. And Luke Gifford was getting picked on left, right, and center. Thank God we play him. We can't play our third-round pick and Nick Martin. Nope, we got to have Luke Gifford on the field. 3 Rams tight ends combined for 8 catches, 106 yards, and a touchdown in this game. My big takeaway, especially given this defensive effort, Kyle Shanahan has to realize that he needs to go for it on 4th down. You cannot punt the ball away and say, well, our defense is going to stop them. The 49ers gave up 2 touchdowns on the first 2 possessions, and it was over after that. They never stopped them and got the ball back down by a possession with a chance to tie in the game. That give up before halftime where the 49ers punt, I know it's 4th and 7. I get that. Guess what? You have to go for it. They never got to stop after that to make it a 1-possession game. Kyle has to realize this is the defense you have. My only way to stop them is to keep them off the field, and my only way to do that is to try and go for it on 4th down and steal possessions.
I don't disagree. Not going for it there on when it was 4th down with 19 seconds to go. You're on the Rams 47.
Yeah.
So worst case scenario, you're looking at giving the Rams the ball with about 11 seconds because that's what they had after the punt. And they're on their own 47. So that means they need a 10-yard completion and to have the clock stop because they had no timeouts. So you just say, we'll give you 30 yards straight down the middle because it doesn't do anything for you. You have 11 seconds and no timeouts. All we have to stop is you being able to get a catch and out of bounds. So there was very little risk to go for it. Whereas the upside was you get that first down, they're not scoring a touchdown at that point. Very unlikely because they get the first down. They have one shot at the end zone from somewhere 30 plus yards away, probably. But you get a field goal and that makes it 21-10. Which then, if you go out and you score in the first possession of the second half, like they did, It's 21-17. I know they got it to 21-14, so they did get it within 1 possession, but I do think the mental and the message sent there is just completely off. Screw it. We're down 14 points. We can't stop them. We're not going to try to get points here. Like, no, you're desperate. You have to try to get points.
Cowardice, absolute cowardice from Kyle. What if we don't get it? What if they get the ball back? What if they score? What if you do get it? What if you convert and then you score and then holy crap, instead of going in down 21-7, you're getting the ball to start the second half, possibly down. Oh, you would be down 1 score at that point because you would have kicked the field goal or you would have scored the touchdown. It's coward. He has to get it. You don't have the defense to stop these guys, Kyle. Chris Maldonado, YouTube channel member for 29 months. Thank you, Chris. Shout out all our members here. We really appreciate you. Chris says, outplayed on defense. We got worked. Freaking sad. Tony Nagatani says, no Micah Williams and the Niners can't stop the run. Go figure. Yeah, it was like watching last year. The Rams they did whatever they wanted on offense. Passing, running. They ran 30 times for 126 yards. That's 4.2 yards per carry. Kyren Williams was at 5.2 yards per carry. That is where I say they don't have the horses. That is where I will give Robert Saleh a little bit of grace. But Game Plan on Twitch says this isn't on Saleh. It's a talent disparity. I highly doubt Saleh was designing Gifford stumbling all over the field. He didn't want Mustafa on Devontae one-on-one. That's the point, Game Plan. You think that happened by accident? No. The Rams looked at how the 49ers are playing defense and said, if we come out like this, we're going to have Devontae against Mustafa one-on-one in the red zone. And that's what happened, and it was comical. Now, to be fair to Mustafa, most corners can't stop that either, but it was a joke. That didn't happen by accident. The Rams out-schemed the 49ers on defense today.
That's my biggest takeaway. I mean, you talked about the fourth down, but I feel like that was one play, and he did go for it multiple times on fourth down in the game. My big takeaway from this game is that Robert Saleh's coverages suck, and I'm being nice, because we have complained about it for weeks, that he's playing too much off coverage. He's making it too easy for them. Mm-hmm. What did the sideline reporter say coming out of halftime?
Yep.
They talked to Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan said, yeah, we were playing too much off coverage, so I decided we need to change that. There's a key point in there. The way that the sideline reporter said that Kyle Shanahan said it, it was Kyle Shanahan telling Saleh, stop playing off coverage. And then the matchups throughout the entire game were off. You had early in the game, Upton Stout on a third down is one-on-one coverage with Puka Nacua. He's not winning that. Almost no DB in the league is winning that. What are you doing? You can't have Puka Nacua one-on-one coverage with your third DB. Change it. Have a safety come down and help. Something. Like, it just, there were multiple times where just by the way they lined up, you knew the Niners were screwed. And that's on Robert Saleh to me.
Yes.
And that's my big takeaway, was that his coverages were completely off. And I was texting you in the first half. They know where the blitz is coming from pre-snap, because there were a lot of plays in the first half, especially, where they show blitz pre-snap and the Rams have a route go directly to where that blitz came from. Not like, oh, somebody made it in there and then sat down in the zone. No, somebody literally was sprinting right to the void that was created by that. The Rams knew when they lined up, that's where it's coming from. That's where the open spot's going to be. Go get it. Well, that tells me your defense is predictable on top of it.
Not only that, but it didn't matter if Stafford knew where it was coming from. The blitzes never got home. Ever. They blitzed these guys. They weren't coming close to Matthew Stafford. Did Bryce Huff play in the game? Did he even play? Was he out there at all? Their blitzing is pathetic. It is so bad. They never get home on these things. It is brutal. And the coverage point you make is interesting too, because we said the same thing in the Texans game, right? Soft coverage. And Kyle even said, we made it too easy for Houston with giving them the coverage. So like they already made that mistake, and then they continued to make it against the Rams. It's comical. I mean, it's the opposite of that's the coverage the Rams played against the Niners when the first time they played was the soft coverage that we couldn't believe. It was just a bad showing for Robert Saleh today. I know everyone wants to defend him because he's done a great job all year. He has, but he's also had a couple of weeks where he got absolutely worked, and today was one of them. Now let's get to a couple more super chats. I know you're going to like this one, Levin.
Yeah, Joe, I know. I saw it.
Says Brian Robinson is a better runner than Christian McCaffrey. Sorry, 6-11 coming. Whoa.
Right. The second part I'm going to ignore because that's just, they're not losing out. But the first part was my second biggest takeaway from the game. Once again, Brian Robinson was finding success successfully. Guess what? He actually got the edge multiple times. Guess what? Every time he had a pitch play, he found success. Guess what? Every single time Christian McCaffrey ran the same place, he didn't get there fast enough. Christian McCaffrey does not have the speed to catch the edge anymore. That's why those pitch plays are sucking. They're not blocked great either. I'm not sitting there saying the blocking is really good, but the fact that Brian Robinson is able to consistently find success, he, by the way, averaged over 5 yards per carry in this game, and Christian McCaffrey in the same offense can't find success, and you add in that when Brian Robinson is in, it is exponentially more likely that they're going to be running the ball, and the defense knows that. So you would think,
true. That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It is. I'm not saying they run every time, but I guarantee you, when Brian Robinson is in, the defense plays much more run than pass.
Why?
Why you don't have the threat of Christian McCaffrey passing? Christian McCaffrey is still the best catching running back in the league. The problem is it's kind of like Debo situation. He's a great receiver, but he can't run the ball for shit. Christian McCaffrey averaged under 3 yards per carry. You know who averaged more yards per carry than him in this game? Mac Jones on a QB sneak. He got 3 yards. Like, Christian McCaffrey can't run the ball anymore. They need to be running Brian Robinson more. And I think you've started to see that change, because this game you were seeing more of a split carry. It wasn't until they became down big in the second half that Brian Robinson kind of fell out of the game plan. But in that first half, Brian Robinson was splitting carries with Christian McCaffrey.
The first drive of the second half, that was the Brian Robinson drive. He had 5 touches on the drive for 24 yards and a touchdown. I do not think Brian Robinson is better than Christian McCaffrey. I don't think Brian Robinson is a better runner than Christian McCaffrey. But you know what? I don't care if they use Brian Robinson more. If it works, whatever. Like, same thing, my position with the quarterback. I want good quarterback play. I don't care where it comes from. I'm not attached to necessarily a certain player. If it's working, stick with it. They did on that drive, and it worked. But again, every time the 49ers pulled close, the Rams just said, oh, okay, we need to drive right down the field. Touchdown. And it was easy, too. It was absolutely easy. The Rams go out. They scored 14 points on their first 2 possessions. They face 1 third down. 1 third down that they even got to, and they converted it, by the way. They score the 14 points, and Niners fumble. Rams go down the field. Touchdown. There was only one drive where the Niners scored and the Rams did not immediately score a touchdown. When the Niners made it 21-7, the Rams punted. And then that was the final drive before halftime that we've already talked about. But every other time the 49ers scored, the Rams just said, oh, our turn now? Touchdown.
Well, yeah, they couldn't stop the Rams, but Christian McCaffrey is on pace to have the worst 300-plus carry season rushing the ball in 22, 23 years since Ricky Williams had it. And before that, you got to go even further back. Like, he's on pace to average less than 3.5 yards per carry. It's insanely bad.
John Veen, YouTube channel member, says, at least they didn't stop playing and the day wasn't a total waste. Kyle Kami blocked me for calling him a sensitive journalist. Okay, I guess that's a victory. Andre, thank you very much for the super chat. That's incredibly generous of you. YouTube channel member says they don't have the talent on defense to go up against the smart elite quarterback. Stafford shredded them all day. Without a pass rush, your offense needs to put up 35 a game. They might beat crappier quarterbacks, but not Stafford. They could have made a game out of it, but they have to manage the game perfectly. And they can't turn the ball over either. Like, they need both of those things. They have a very narrow path to victory.
That's why in games like this, I don't understand the defensive philosophy. You're not going to be able to match up with them. And you can't just sit and play off coverage against a quarterback of this caliber, because he's going to eat you alive. He's going to pick you and, dink and dunk you. What you need to do, and what I would like to see them do, is just play for the big play. You might give up the big play, but you also are going to make some big plays. It's a case of, we know we can't stop them truly, and we're not going to sit and count on, well, maybe they'll make some mistakes. No, what you count on is, all right, we're going to blitz the ever-living crap out of them, and we're going to play press coverage so that it's, well, they might lose that press coverage. It's one-on-one, and they get a 30-plus yard gain. But we also might get an interception, or we might get a sack, or we might get a fumble. You know what I mean? I want to see a high-stakes, high-gambling type of defense, because it's the only way you're going to beat a playoff caliber offense.
You know what? I would be willing to see them try it, because I don't care about this. Like, oh, they're going down the field. They never face third down. Like, that ain't going to do it for me. At least make it a more interesting watch, if nothing else, on TV.
I feel like the problem is, in a game like this, especially towards the end, they were going halfway to that. They were blitzing a lot, but they were playing off coverage. Well, if you blitz and play off coverage, it's easy for the quarterback. So you got to cheat up. You got to play press, not necessarily press, but you got to play close coverage. You can't sit and say, we'll give you 10 yards and we're blitzing. Those don't mesh. And we've seen it in multiple games. And they were doing it, especially early in this game. Like, I don't get it. It's flawed fundamentally, and it's one of the things that everybody knows is flawed.
Yeah. Who thinks that's going to work? That's the smartest defensive people thought that was going to work. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Gabe Owners says, God, I hated the smug looks on McVay and Williams' faces. I mean, they're going to be happy. Of course they're going to be happy. Like, I'm not worried about that. Like, I'm more worried about our problems. Manny R says, season over, fire sale time. Now, hold on, Manny. Hold on. Look, today was bad. There's no sugarcoating it. But as I have said, I said it, I think, after the Houston game, it only counts for one loss, right? Like, I know it was bad, but you're still okay. That's your first division loss all season long. It's only your second loss in the NFC. Would you have liked to have won it? Of course. I'm not pretending otherwise. But look at the schedule the rest of the way. You've got the Cardinals next week. How'd the Cardinals look against the Seahawks today? You've got the Panthers the week after that. The Panthers just lost today, I believe, to the Saints, if I'm not mistaken. The Browns game, who knows what the Browns are going to be. That defense gives Kyle trouble, but we'll see. Like, season over? No. I totally disagree with that.
I mean, the Jets put up points on the Browns and came back and won that game. So if the Niners struggle in that game, that's on Kyle Shanahan. But I will say one of my takeaways from this game, and it got a little bit messed up because of two do-or-die plays where he was forced to force it, and they ended up being interceptions. But my takeaway from this game was Mac continues to progress. I thought this was his best game he's had with the 49ers. I thought he was doing a good job of knowing when to hold it, to try for a deeper pass, and when to get rid of it quick. There were multiple plays when he knew they were coming after him, and he snapped the ball and he got rid of it fast. One of them was a touchdown. There were other plays where he held it. One of them was a touchdown. Like, I feel like he does well in the number one complaint we have about Brock, in that Brock tries to play hero ball and sits and says, I'm going to try to throw 30 yards every time, and he doesn't take the dump off that's right in front of him. Mac does a good job of taking the dump off, but then also taking the deeper shots when they're there. Just to finish my point, I'm not to the point of saying Mac over Brock. I think Brock still has a higher level than Mac can get to, but it's a lot closer. Like, I'm getting close to that point of saying Mac is playing better. He's certainly playing better than Brock has played in the last 2 years. The 2024 Brock and the 2025 Brock that we've seen, and I know injuries are part of it, are not as good as what we've seen from Mac Jones this season. But Brock does have a different level he can still get to.
Where I was really impressed with Mac today is I thought his movement inside the pocket, he wasn't running around scrambling because that's not what he does. But I thought he had more movement in and around the pocket today than honestly maybe we've seen all year, or at least in recent memory. I don't know if the knees are feeling better, and I think Kyle did a good job too with some of his play calling that got him out on the move a little bit to sort of like nudge him like in a certain direction movement wise. I thought it was a good combination there. I was very impressed with that with Mac Jones today. I thought he did a good job. I was impressed with George freaking Kittle on that last touchdown catch. That was amazing. Nice to see Kittle have a game, but Mac played well today. I wasn't like blown away. They still only scored 26 points, which isn't terrible. I thought he was fine today. And I liked if he can keep that level of mobility, that will be a big help going forward for sure.
The summary of what I thought, and I was thinking about this all through the first half and the second half, is I would rather see Mac Jones play than a less than 100% Brock Purdy. That's where I'm at. And I would not have been there a few weeks ago. I think we've seen progress from Mac where this was the game that we talked about that we wanted to see from him. All right, get down big. Do you fall apart? He didn't fall apart. He went out and had a really good game. Like I said, I think it's his best game as a 49er, despite being down 21-0 early on. I am more comfortable with Mac starting than a 90% Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy can't get to 100%, I would rather Mac play.
Here's the weird part to me, and this is the first time we've seen this from Mac all year. He had an absolute brain fart in the 2-minute drill, the last drive before halftime. They're driving down the field. 1st and 10, he throws an incompletion to Jennings, and then he had no idea how much time was left on the play clock. They get a delay of game. It becomes 2nd and 15, which is death against this Rams defense because they haven't allowed a 3rd and I think over 3rd and 12 all year long. And they didn't convert. That was the end of that drive. he's been so good in the 2-minute drives all year. He's been phenomenal, and he was moving the ball right down the field. I have no idea if the play got in late, but he wasn't even aware of, like, he wasn't like clapping his hands, asking for the snap. That was so surprising to me because he's been so good in that area all year long.
It was weird all around because, like, you didn't see Kyle trying to get his attention. You didn't see other players. Like, the team wasn't even set all that early. It's not like they sat there and he was at the line doing his cadence, and you didn't see the announcers aware of it. So it was just kind of like a weird play, to the point that, like, I know there was a lot of time in between the plays, so I doubted it was the case, but I wondered if this was one of those things where they didn't reset the play clock correctly.
It could have been, because sometimes that happens. And would make more sense to me, because Mac is not one of those guys that's just going to be oblivious, but that would just something that stuck out to me. And when it happened, I was super mad because I knew that stat about the Rams defense, because Kyle had said it during one of his press conferences. Let's get to some more super chats. Andre, YouTube channel member, says Niners DBs are all overhyped and blow in coverage. Lenore randomly leaves his guy in the end zone on the touchdown pass to the tight end. I can't remember which tight end it was because they were all over the field. But, like, Stafford is rolling out. There's no pressure on him, so he has all the time in the world. And he's just waiting for a guy to uncover in the end zone. And all of a sudden, there's Lenore there and the safety. And Lenore just says, well, I'm just going to leave and do.
It was Winters.
Whoever it was. Like, I don't know what Lenore thought he was going to do, but he leaves his guy wide open, and Stafford throws for a touchdown. And Stafford afterwards is like, I can't believe he did that.
Well, that was the play that got me the most angry, because it was the reaction after the touchdown from Lenore that really pissed me off. He turned to Winters and did the, like, shrug, like, what are you doing to Winters? It's like, no, you're the DB. Right. Why are you leaving your guy? He's the linebacker that I would assume was in some kind of zone, but then continued with the guy because nobody else was in his zone. What is Lenore doing? Because the thing is, there was another Rams player that was in front of them at the goal line, and Stafford did kind of a pump fake, but the guy was covered well, and Lenore broke off at the pump fake thinking Stafford was throwing there, and that's why he left him. Winters did the same thing, but to me, the linebacker is the one that would break off of a coverage, not the DB. Like, Lenore, you don't cover somebody else's guy. You're a DB. Linebackers help other, you know what I mean? They're kind of a further up the field safety. They don't necessarily, on a lot of plays, some plays they do, but they don't necessarily have a guy that is their guy to cover on that play. It's, I'm picking up whoever's here and helping and trying to take away this area of the field. So it was the reaction after the play that pissed me off more than the actual play.
We got a weird comment from Kyle Shanahan in the post.
As long as it's not an injury, I don't care.
Not
that I don't care. I'm not angry.
Kyle, on Brock Purdy, he says he, quote, could have gone today as a backup, according to Kyle, but Shanahan said he didn't want to put Purdy in that situation. Shanahan said he wants Purdy as close to 100% as possible before putting him back in. He says Purdy could have a chance to go at Arizona. Now, again, I haven't heard the quote. I'm just going off of this quote from Nick Wagner, so I'll give Kyle a little grace, but I will say this. If he could have played as a backup, he should have started the game. This whole you're healthy enough to be the backup, but you can't be the starter makes no sense. What if the starter gets knocked out on the first play of the game? Then the backup has to come in. Like, if he's healthy enough to be the backup, he's healthy enough to be the starter. That's why I think it was smart that they made him inactive, because I think it's a bad look to have Brock Purdy, your $53 million quarterback, on the sideline in uniform watching Mac Jones. But when you say stuff like that, Kyle, you do give fuel to the quarterback controversy, because you're saying, yeah, he could have played, but we played Mac instead. That is fueling a quarterback controversy.
I want to see the damn question asked. Kyle, explain to us how a player can be healthy enough to play as a backup, meaning at any moment he could have to play in the game, but not healthy enough to start. Like, either you're healthy enough to go in the game, and if you're the backup, there's a chance you have to go in the game, or you're not healthy enough. So what are you saying here? Either you're not wanting to play him because he's not 100%, which is completely understandable, but then in what world is that a backup? Are you saying you're trying to hedge your bets where it's, all right, we're going to play Brock, or we're going to play Mac, But Brock is well enough that he could be effective. It's just that he's not fully healthy and he could tweak it and get set back. Okay, so you're willing to risk him going in a game as the backup and being set back to square one, and now his season's over because he's missed 8 weeks at this point? Like, what are you saying here? That you're willing to throw him out there and risk a setback in the case that Mac Jones gets hurt, but you're not willing to risk it when he's the starter? Like, there's a tiny thread of logic to that, but it doesn't make any sense, because if you're counting on that guy to come back healthy and potentially save the season, then you don't risk it as a backup.
Well, to be fair, like, they haven't done that, right? He hasn't been active as the backup. So they're not willing to take those risks that you're saying, but then just shut up about saying, well, he could have been the backup. Just say he's not healthy enough. Like, that's the dumb part of this. Just say he wasn't healthy enough to go today. That is the dumb, because they haven't done all those risky things you're talking about, which I agree they should not do. But then don't sit there and say he's healthy enough to go. Like, it's just, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to handle this whole thing.
Can I just say, in my opinion, and I'm not overly confident in this, but it's starting to seem like to me that it's a case of Kyle doesn't understand the injury, and he just looks at Brock and thinks, why isn't he playing? And because he's doing something that he's done to Jimmy Garoppolo in the past, where he's criticized him kind of behind the scenes without quite saying it, but kind of saying it, hint, hint, wink, wink, that Jimmy could have played, but he wasn't willing to. And I don't think Brock is that type of player.
No.
Brock is the type of player he's going to play, but I think it's a case of Kyle doesn't understand how fragile the injury truly is, and the fact that Purdy can seem like he's basically healthy now, but not quite there. And the doctors are saying, no, you're not playing him. And it's just one of those things where Kyle can't shut up about it.
Well,
and so it looks like he's criticizing Purdy because he sees the Purdy that's basically playing normal in his limited practices, but it's the doctors who are saying you can't risk this.
Well, and then see, but this is why, like, I want to see the actual quotes, because Cam Edmond tweets out, Kyle Shanahan on Brock Purdy, possible return next week at the Cardinals. Quote, I do believe he's further along than he was in week 4 when he played. So hopefully he'll have a chance this week. Sounds like, hey, he's not really that close to returning, but he could have been gone as a backup. Makes it sound like he is close to returning. So, like, I want to see the quotes to sort of sort out what's what, but it seems like Kyle is making contradictory quotes. But again, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt until I actually see the quotes. Let's get back to some super chats here. We'll react more to Kyle Shanahan's comments too. Michael Owen says, good news is that we'll have Robert Saleh next year. That
is good news. He's been doing a good job this season, but this game and the Houston game, he didn't.
Right. Exactly. That's it in a nutshell. Matthew McBride, I think we'll be fine up until after the bye. Colts, Bears, and Seahawks will be tough with no pass rush. Every game will be tough with no pass rush. This game they did to us. The Rams did to the Niners today what the Niners did to them the first time. Niners tilted the game by scoring touchdowns on their first 2 possessions and played keep away essentially the rest of the way, and they were able to pull it out in the end. Rams did the same thing today. They got 21 points on their first 3 possessions and then just played keep away the rest of the way. And when the Niners got it close, Rams just did enough to nudge it forward and basically eliminate any progress that the Niners had made.
They just couldn't stop them. I mean, they had 40 plus points. That's no amount of offense was going to overcome that.
43 points of offense would have overcome it.
Correct, but they're not a 43-point offense when they don't have wide receivers.
They could be. I think they, even with the limited guys that they had, but they can't turn the damn ball over. And
they had one turn. Well, I guess they had the fumble early on, but they're not a team that's going to score 40 points currently as they have healthy guys. They're just not. They're going to have those mistakes. They're going to have drives like the first drive where they're ineffective and they get a stupid false start. The part that pisses me off, and we're 30 minutes in, so I'm going to go here. I didn't want to go to it early because it's not a big story of this game, but it's a rule change I want to see because I don't understand why it's not. Any pre-snap penalty, meaning it's something that happened prior to the snap that the refs call, even if the play continues, should be something New York can correct because it's pre-snap. And what I'm getting at is that George Kittle illegal motion is complete BS. He was set. It happened pre-snap. The play ran as if there was no penalty. So there's no changing by New York coming in and saying, hey, you're wrong. He was set. Take that part away. You know what I mean? Plays like that. Like all right, the defensive lineman lined up off sides. New York should be able to buzz them. That's a pre-snap penalty. They should be able to buzz them and say, hey, they were in the neutral zone. Throw the flag. Call it now. Or they should be able to say, if it was thrown, hey, no, he wasn't. Pick up that flag. You know what? Even if it's already been announced, because it happens quickly. I mean, those penalties were announced within 10 seconds. New York doesn't necessarily have the time, but they have the time before the next snap to buzz down and say, hold on, you got it wrong. Correct it. Here it is. It's a pre-snap penalty. I don't want to see pass interference be fully reviewable or holding or things like that, but I don't understand why pre-snap. Pre-snap is very easy, and it's very cut or dry whether or not it's a penalty or not.
It was a bad call. The rules analyst, I forget who it was, but even said he was set. He was set. Like, he was set. It's ridiculous. And they let a lot of pass interference contact go without calling it on both sides. But then to call that because George Kittle didn't stop for 3 seconds at the stop sign, like, that infuriated me to no end. John Veen, YouTube channel member, says, given how Mac is playing and has gotten better, do you sit Brock for the rest of the year? Here's a clip of Kyle talking about Brock. I haven't heard this. Let's listen to it together.
He could have gone, definitely. I just decided to hold him, not put him in that situation.
I feel Mac probably never going to be 100% again this season. Is there, at some point, do you just have to play him knowing that he's not going to be 100%?
Yes, it depends on how close to 100% he gets. Our dilemma, or what we're trying not to do, is put him out in the situation we did versus Jacksonville 5 weeks ago or 6, whatever it was. So I do believe he's closer and further along than what he was at that time. So hopefully he'll have a chance this week.
So they knew he wasn't 100% when they put him out on the field against the Jags.
Yeah, they rushed it. They bungled that.
Yep, and he got re-injured. Like,
yeah. But to me, it hasn't really affected too much because, like, tell me a game that Brock Purdy wins that Mac wasn't able to get it done. I don't think they're really.
I think we might have played out differently. I don't know if they win it, but his mobility would have helped them in that game, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about whether or not it turns a loss into a win.
Well,
even if it made it closer, like, I'm not sure that there's been a game this season that Mac lost and Brock would have won. That's my point. So I don't think it's really been something that crippled them. You know, like, I feel like Kyle would be getting mercilessly picked apart in the national media if the team was sitting at 4-6 instead of 6-4 because they'd been losing a bunch under Mac, and now they're questioning him going in that Jags game.
They bungled it, man. He just admitted it that they put him out there too soon, and he immediately re-injured it. And the other thing, it's just infuriating. The way they handle injuries is so bad. John says, would you bench Brock the rest of the year? Here's the thing. If you're Kyle and you're saying you don't want to put him out there unless he's 100%, and then you've said he won't be 100% the rest of the year, then you shouldn't put him back out there if you're going to be consistent about what you say. Now, if you're going to be inconsistent, then you throw him back out there, whatever. But, like, logically, if you're going to follow what you have said out loud, the decision should be made. And he should have surgery. Brock should have the surgery now.
So to answer the question on the Super Chat, I would want to talk to the doctors because I don't know enough. What are the risks of him playing on it less than 100%? I know he can have surgery and be back in 3 months, but is there a further risk here where he could have like a really bad tear of it, and now he might never be the same, and this might be a case of Patrick Willis or Torrey Holt, where they both retired early because of turf toe. Is that a risk? Because if that's a risk, then it's no, Brock doesn't play again this season, and we get him to 100% healthy. If that's not truly a risk, and the risk is, well, he may tear it and then need the surgery and be out 3 months, then yeah, he plays right away, and you take that risk because that's not really that big of a risk because he can have that surgery in February and be back months before training camp. So I'm willing to take that risk because who cares? Brock may care. So it's a little bit of a fan perspective, But I don't care if the player's offseason is spent recuperating rather than having a true offseason.
Well, I do. I don't want them to. That's how you get better, is in the offseason, working on your body, working on your craft. When you rehab during an offseason, you almost pause your development because you're spending the whole time just trying to get back to where you were, not getting.
Yeah, but are you willing to take that risk to get Brock back in there and see what they can do this season? Or are you not?
To me, if you've got a quarterback that you're paying that money to, that says you believe in that guy and you believe that that guy is a difference maker over anyone else that you could have put in. That's why you pay that guy, right? So if you've made that statement already, if you're the 49ers, you have done that. You've already made that determination. Therefore, you have to put the guy back in because you have already decided that he is a difference maker. So to me, you should put him back out there. Are they going to? Who the hell knows at this point? Manny says, last comment for today, if Brock's healthy, would you leave Mac in or bench him for Brock? If you're one of the people that says keep Mac Jones in because you think he's playing well enough to continue to go in, then like maybe you should want Brock to just have the surgery.
Yeah, I mean, if you're one of those that thinks Mac is better than what Brock could be, I don't get there yet. Like, even if you believe that, because of the money they've committed to Brock, you got to throw him out there. I'm not saying it's impossible that Brock is not as good as Mac anymore. Because like I said, what I've seen from Mac this season is on par or better than what we saw from Purdy in 2024 and this season so far. So is 2023 the real Brock? Or is that Brock gone? And is that Brock gone because he feels like, well, I established myself in 2023. I'm the guy. I got to be a difference maker. And he keeps doing these stupid forced throws deep to try to be a hero. Because if that's what we're going to continue to see out of Brock, then he's not better than Mac Jones. If Brock can stop doing that crap and dump the ball down and take the easy 5 yards on first down when it's there, then he's better than Mac. And a lot of that has to do with the legs, not the arm, but he's better than Mac.
Or is that Matt or is that Brock gone because defenses have more film out on him than they did in 2023 and they figured out some tendencies and stuff? We don't know.
I don't think so because we have seen a lot last year and some this season, and we have talked about it in the instant reactions that the dump off was there and Brock said, F that, I'm going for it. And he throws 30 yards and gets intercepted. Or he tries to throw over the middle 20 yards down the field and gets intercepted because he's trying to make this hero throw. So we've seen that the dump offs are still there. And what we've seen from Mac is he's going to take those dump offs to then have the shots. And Brock tries to do the other thing. He tries to take the shots. And if they start taking those away, well, then I'll settle for the dump off.
Well, that's what you should do, though. Checkdowns are supposed to be checkdowns for a reason. The problem is he looks deep. And then he looks short, and then he's like, well, let me see if I can move around and hit one of the deep ones again. It's like, no, dude, just give up on this one and check it down. And he has admitted that he does this too. Like that's the other part. It's not just us speculating. Like he has said, I need to get back to doing that. A couple other super chats. Riz says, just tuned in. Did we have any injuries today? I didn't see any. I know Bethune was off the field and came back. But again, it doesn't matter what Kyle says today. Yeah. Wait till the conference call tomorrow because guys wake up with stuff all the time and we'll see. Miguel Ramirez says, did Rob just say Mac only scored 26 on the number one defense? First of all, they're not the number one defense. The Houston Texans are the number one defense. Second of all, go look at who the Rams have played. They haven't exactly played a powerhouse of teams to generate the numbers that they've gotten thus far. So yeah, sorry, 26 points, not good enough today. Not good enough in general. I'm sorry, it's not.
I disagree. 26 points with this defense, not good enough. Because this defense is going to struggle to hold opponents under 30 points. That's just the simple fact. They are playing with backups. That's the fact. Because the guys who are healthy, other than I would say Lenore and Renardo Green, are guys that shouldn't be starting. I have not seen much out of Mustafa since he came back. I still believe there's a chance there, but I haven't seen anything special out of him. And the other guys, the other safety, whether it's Pinnock or Brown, yeah, they're not starting quality. The linebackers are they're doing, I would say, the best other than the top two corners. But Bethune wouldn't be starting if it wasn't for injuries. And I haven't seen a starter out of Winters. Winters started the year hot, the first 2 games. He has not looked that great since. And the defensive line is a whole bunch of backups.
I think that D. Winters benefited, as anybody would, from playing next to Fred, right? Like, yeah, he's not going to look as good when you don't have 54 in there just erasing plays and people. Gold Rush YouTube channel member says, does it seem like Brock is kind of detached? No, I don't think so. I think he doesn't meet the media because he's hurt. He's practicing in a limited fashion. He's on the sideline. He has the little earpiece in. I don't think Brock is detached.
No, I mean, his toe might be detached.
That's gross. Thanks for that. Marcus Lionheart, YouTube channel member for 14 months. Thank you, Marcus says, at least we didn't lose to a 2-7 team like the Bills. Mike McDaniel called a timeout with 15 minutes to go on the clock in the first quarter.
Yeah, I saw.
And then they won the game, so good for him. Derek says, told you we'd get y'all next time. Again, great content. You guys are awesome. Go Rams. Hey, Derek, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Of course, I don't know if you'd pop in if the Rams lost, but
hey, I mean, that is a good kind of gloat. Like, he's saying, haha, we won, but in a respectful and nice way, instead of coming in, and some of the comments I've seen in the chat are not very respectful, which is not to be unexpected. I mean, it is a rivalry, as Jimmy Garoppolo, of all freaking people, said. I don't know if you saw that puff piece.
Oh, my God, Mike Silver. Jimmy Garoppolo's got his mojo back. What?
He deserves the chance to start. He's 34 freaking years old and has failed twice, with the last one being a complete and utter train wreck with, oh, by the way, a guy who's turned Drake May into an MVP candidate as the guy calling plays. So, no, he doesn't deserve a chance to start. He's 34 freaking years old. What are you writing, Mike Silver? What are you hoping to get out of this? That was a complete, I'm going to write this puff piece, so I hope I get a scoop later.
Yep, that was such BS. Oh, he had one decent start in the last game with the Rams in 2024, and then he did something during training camp. Well, Matt Stafford, give me a break, Mike Silver. That was puff garbage, absolute garbage by you. That was him doing somebody a favor, I guess Jimmy Garoppolo, or maybe Jimmy's agent. Maybe
I was going to say, probably Jimmy's agent.
Maybe he's doing Don Yee a favor there. Don Yee.
Yeah, because he's trying to get Jimmy a nice, solid next contract.
All right, we'll react more to what Kyle Shanahan and other 49ers are saying in a second. But first, just want to say thank you to Sleeper for hopping on board this season. You need to hop on board with Sleeper. Go and check out their app. It's fantastic. All you got to do is sign up, and you'll get a free $20 entry. Just by signing up, you don't have to deposit a penny of your own money. You get a free $20 entry. Go check out the app. Look around. They have news updates on there. It's a really cool app. Super easy to use as well. And if you do want to make picks and deposit your money, please use our promo code GSP, because you'll get up to 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. So you might as well, if you're going to deposit money anyway, use the code GSP, and then you get, up to 100% match. So please go and do that. And it's easy. Like I said, just pick higher or lower on different categories. And if you do, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Michelle was perfect this week, Levin. She nailed all 4 of her picks. I was 50% on mine, 2 out of 4, but she's pulling us up. But tremendous week by Michelle. Please listen to us on Fridays when we make our picks. I promise you we won't let you down. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Ooh, I'm sorry.
Shocker, your co-host is carrying you.
Yeah, well, would be the first time it's ever happened. I'll say that.
Yeah, and that close-up also reminded me, because you sent, somebody tweeted us saying that we were going to do this show in paper bags over our heads. The close-up reminded me, I kind of hoped you were going to do that, so I didn't have to, see this.
Ha ha. Boy, could you have taken longer to set up that joke?
Oh, Jason, I definitely could have. I'll try next time.
Jason Pitney says, Rob, how do you read a Rams comment on a Niner instant reaction? Very lame, Rob. Well, first of all, he paid money to get that comment. And if you pay money, I'm going to read the comment. Second of all, dude, calm down. You're a little sensitive here. We can be adults about this. Other fans of other teams can come in here. It doesn't have to be 49ers only. Let's relax. Vinny V wants a kicker update. Kicker update. Vinny says Eddie P will get less opportunities the rest of the way. He should. He had the point after blocked today. That wasn't fun, although I don't think that was really his fault. Matt
No, I was going to say it wasn't the case. Last week he had 2 kicks that were like crazy low and got lucky they weren't blocked. That one was kicked. That was not on him.
Yeah. Matt Hennessy they had one guy that just charged into Hennessy, and then Verse came over the top and blocked the kick. But when you go down 21-0, you're not kicking field goals, and you shouldn't kick field goals. So at that point, I knew that pick was cooked, because once they were down 21-0, I was like, Eddie's not going to make 2 field goals today.
Yeah, it's been 3 weeks since he got a field goal.
Has it?
He's still perfect on the season for field goals, but I don't think he had one last week, did he?
No, I don't believe he did. This is a good nugget from Next Gen Stats. Let me throw it up. They say the Rams deployed 13 personnel on 44.8% of the snaps today. That's the second highest in a game since 2016. Their third straight game over 38%. They averaged 6.7 yards per play and 63.3% success and a 20% explosive play rate out of 13 personnel. But that's the thing. They had been doing this to other teams, so it shouldn't have caught Robert Saleh off guard, and they had no answer for it today.
Well, the problem is when you play 3 tight ends, which is what they're talking about, I think the answer to that is having linebackers on the field who can cover and not having a weak one. Because what the Rams are doing is they're getting those guys out there, and then they're doing motions to make sure that the third guy for the 49ers, not Bethune, not Winters, is covering one of the tight ends. And that's just not going to work. I mean, you're talking about a 4th or 5th string linebacker at that point because of the injuries. It's not their 3rd best linebacker, it's their 4th or 5th best linebacker. So for the 49ers, I think that is uniquely capable of exploiting this defense because of the injuries. You're already down to backups. But it is also just kind of an effective formation because not too many teams really have an answer for that in the modern NFL. This is not the old NFL where you have 3 really good linebackers on all teams.
We should point out, as Quinn did, that Eddie Pinheiro did make 2 field goals last week against the Giants. Thank you, Quinn. See, that's why I like our YouTube channel members keeping us honest. We said he didn't have any, but he did. So we were wrong about that. Just want to make sure we correct that. And Danielle Slackoff with a good comment says, we're on the win-loss rotation right now. It's true. We have alternated wins and losses every week after the first 3 of the season. They went 3-0, and then it was loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. So we're beating Arizona next week. That's good.
Well, let's get to that because I was going to ask you, do you think that's a must-win?
Yes. In fact, I saw a good tweet from Kyle Posey. Let me see. Please tell me I saved it, because if I did, that would make me a smart man. And
while you look for it, let me say it was one of the few times that I laughed during this game because when the Niners were down 21-0, I checked the score of the Seahawks-Arizona game, and I thought, well, it could be worse because Arizona's down 35-0.
They got absolutely. Sam Darnold had 3 turnovers in the second half of that game, and it didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
That's how badly they were getting beaten. Here's a tweet from KP. Niners' next 4 games could decide whether or not they make the playoffs. At the Cardinals, Panthers, at the Browns, Titans. If you lose any, you don't have much margin for error to drop another game. Sweep those 4, and you'll be sitting pretty with 3 games left. You have to beat the Panthers. You have to beat the Cardinals. And you have to beat the Titans. Like, you just have to now with this loss. And the Browns game, like, you should beat the Browns. The only reason I'm hesitant about that game at all is just because of the Jim Schwartz factor and how he always has a good game plan against Kyle.
They got to win 3 out of those 4. That's how I look at it. They win 3 out of 4, they're 9-5. They're okay. If they go 2-2, I don't think that's going to go too well for them because they have a tougher finish to the season, and that would mean they would have to win 2 of the 3 to finish. And I wouldn't be confident in it at that point because if they go 2-2 in these next 4, that means they would be 6-6 in their last 12. So the chances of going 2-1 against good teams, I just wouldn't be overly confident.
If you handle your business next week against the Cardinals, you'll be in a really good spot. And it's difficult for this team to handle their business because they have so many glaring holes now on defense. I mean, how many times did the Rams run to the outside today? And there was no one there. There was not a 49er there They completely lost the edge. It was like watching the defense last year. Michael Williams was out, and it was like, whoop, we can't stop the run anymore. And Alfred Collins was out too. I should point that out because he's obviously awesome as well. It was like, well, we can't stop the run anymore.
Yeah, it's tough because I feel like at this point, the interior defensive line, it's doing okay. I mean, they got more guys there. So I feel like you either need to go super wide with your DEs to ensure that you're going to have that edge, or you got to have your linebackers spread out so that they can get to that edge. Because what's happening a lot is one linebacker is able to get there, but that one linebacker is accounted for by either the fullback, an offensive lineman who's pulling, or the tight end. And so it doesn't do anything, and the second linebacker can't get there faster than the running back gets through the hole and is gone. So I think you got to change one of those things. Be willing, in my opinion, to give up more of the middle. If you're getting gashed up the middle, so be it. But the interior defensive line, like I think multiple of them had good plays. CJ West had a good play in this game. Khalil Davis had multiple good plays in this game. So to me, I think you're forced to pick a poison, is what you're forced to do with this defense. And that's the poison I would pick.
They're going to have to get comfortable with risking something because they don't have a prayer in the world otherwise. How about this from Juwan Jennings in the locker room after the game? Quote, "You won't see another fumble." How about that? Dude, how about you actually tuck the ball away? I am so done with Juwan Jennings, man. And look, I don't know if the game goes any different because they couldn't stop the Rams, but they had a chance to sort of tighten things up in this game. The Rams go up 14-0, and the Niners get the ball back, and they are moving down the field. Oh, by the way, on that drive, Juwan Jennings also got a false start. Hooray. They hit Kittle for 14 yards. They hit Juwan Jennings for 14 yards. And then they complete to Jennings down to the Rams' 26-yard line. And he's got the ball just hanging out there, and he fumbles it. And, of course, the Rams get the ball back, and they score the touchdown, and it's 21-0, and the game is over.
It's not wise to say something's never going to happen.
LEK says, JJ, you won't see 20 million. How about that?
Yeah, he's never going to see 20 million. That's a never that you can probably say.
I mean, I'm done.
I think he's lucky to get 10 at this point.
Why is it even out there, man? I want to hear Kyle Shanahan get asked this. Please, somebody, please, I am begging you. Kyle, why is it okay for veteran players to be on the field and make mistakes, but not young players to be on the field and make mistakes? Whether it's Luke Gifford playing over Nick Martin, Juwan Jennings playing over Jordan Watkins, what are we doing with putting these guys out here? Juwan Jennings has told you time and time and time again. He has shown you. I know they watched the film. He's not engaged this season. He's not engaged. What are we doing out there? Why can't we play these young players? It really drives me nuts. Why is it terrible? We can't put Nick Martin on the field because he could give up a big pass because he makes a rookie mistake. But if Luke Gifford just gets absolutely worked, that's totally cool. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't, but this is the way they've been. I mean, they did it last year. They kept throwing out the same linebacker over and over and over again, despite him getting toasted over and over and over again. And it was a player that had 0.0% chance of ever having a future on the team because he was pretty much retired before he came to the 49ers. So it is arguably the biggest downfall of Kyle's coaching is his reluctance to do anything with a rookie, his reluctance to stop trusting a veteran who has shown him time and time again, I can't cut it. And that's the part that I just don't understand. When a guy who doesn't have potential left, like, no offense, Gifford, you don't have much potential.
We know what you are, Luke.
Right. When a guy who doesn't have potential or doesn't have a future on the team is showing you, I can't do it, or I'm going to make mistakes, why stick with them? Go with a guy that, yeah, he might actually be worse. But guess what? At least he has potential, and maybe he develops, and maybe you're just wrong about him. Which, oh, by the way, you've already admitted about one player this season that guy's just a gamer because you didn't see it in practice and you were forced by injuries to play him.
what is it? Oh, sorry. LJL, excuse me. 2685 says, can we please play Nick Martin, Jordan Watkins, and Jordan James at this point? I mean, you just set those picks on fire. It's a wasted pick. You wasted a pick on Jordan James. He hasn't even been active, and you wasted a pick on Watkins. And I'm tired of this whole, well, they got hurt in the preseason, so that's it. We can't play them anymore. That's on the coaches. If you need a guy to be healthy for the entire preseason for them to be able to contribute in any meaningful way their rookie year, I'm sorry. That's bad. That's bad coaching. You got to be able to get these guys to contribute. I'm tired of hearing that excuse. Oh, he missed time in training camp. He missed time in the preseason. So what? Like, what are you doing all week? Get this guy up to speed on the game plan. I'm tired of setting these picks on fire, man.
It's you got nothing to lose. What are you talking about?
Right. Kendrick Bourne doesn't know where to line up like half the time. We can see Mac Jones out there like, hey, back up. Hey, come over here. Hey, dude. He does it now. How many times have you seen 84 out there and his hands are at his sides like, what? Even Jennings hasn't known where to line up, and he's been there in the system. Like, damn, man. I really want somebody to ask Kyle Shanahan that. It's absurd.
You know what's even more frustrating, just to throw a little fuel on this fire. I know he currently got hurt because he got hurt last week, but you know who was here and you could have had confidence was going to succeed? Luke McCaffrey. Remember, he was originally signed as an undrafted free agent with the 49ers, but then they told him that it was very unlikely that he could make the team. So he went elsewhere.
I think that's wrong. Pretty sure Luke McCaffrey was drafted. He was in the 3rd round by the Commanders.
Who the hell am I thinking of?
I don't know. Don't lie to the people.
Too many drinks, apparently. Who am I thinking of?
I'm not sure.
God.
Jason Pitney says, where the hell is Jacob Colling? I believe this was his last week on IR.
He's out in pastures where he's
I don't even know. Are you saying Tariq Owens, people are saying?
Maybe that's who I'm thinking about. I'll have to look at who they've brought in and from undrafted free agents then ended up elsewhere because somebody, I don't know why I have Luke McCaffrey in my head.
George Kittle was out there after the game saying essentially what we've been saying is that the defense isn't, he said it in a nicer way. The defense isn't good enough. We have to score more on offense. They have to score 30. They have to. To even have a chance, they have to.
Yeah, it's what I said after the game last week. That's the type of offensive game you have to have a shot at winning. The defense is a whole bunch of players that are not only backups, but I would say there's at least 2 starters, and I could see arguments for up to 4 starters that shouldn't even really be backups. They're starting. Like that. That's the reality of the situation, that expecting this defense to allow less than 20 points is playing the fool. Yeah. Expecting this defense, like, to me, 25 is the mark. They allow less than 25. Good job, defense. I don't necessarily expect it, but that's kind of where I would put the bar. Like, you keep them in the mid to low 20s. All right, you did enough because you just don't have the people.
I will say this too. Kyle needs to start taking the ball first. You cannot have what you had today where you give up an opening drive touchdown, then you punt, and all of a sudden you're in immediate danger because you could go down 2 scores, and all of a sudden the game is potentially getting out of control super fast. Like, you cannot do that. You have to take the ball first. I know that Kyle's obsessed with scoring before halftime and then scoring after halftime. He's like, it's this whole thing. Forget that. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the second quarter. You need to control the game. You need to take the ball first. You need to drive down the field, have a nice methodical drive, hopefully put up 7, if not 7, 3, hold the ball for at least 5 minutes, and you need to dictate. You cannot be not taking the ball first. Now, that sometimes they can't win the toss, and that's a different thing, but if you have control, take the ball.
It's a case of your defense is never going to be able to dictate terms. They're not going to dictate terms against anybody. They might have a good game here and there, but that's not what your expectation should be. The only chance you have of dictating the game is with the offense. So you should expect the defense to give up points on the first possession. Because 1, it's a Robert Saleh signature. 2, The defense doesn't have the guys. So rather than being down by the time you first touch the ball on offense, take the ball so that the defense maybe is being able to defend with a lead.
I agree with you. I'm sorry. I'm just seeing a comment from Kendrick Bourne. I want to play this because the quote I saw from it enrages me. So I want to at least play it. Here's Kendrick Bourne in the locker room after the game. And I haven't heard this, so let's listen to it together.
Be a blip on the radar.
Yeah. From the last few games that we took in losses, we responded pretty well. So just seeing that, understanding who we are and being around the guys, I know we'll respond well. We just got to respond better after wins. I think that's what we're learning. I feel like we get too relaxed a little bit. After we win, you kind of smell your own junk a little bit. So it's tough. We can't really be like that. And I think that's something that we're learning.
Be a blip on the radar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got no problem with that.
This team thinks after wins that they're really good and they start feeling themselves a little bit. This team that has scraped by all season in their wins, they all of a sudden get a big head and they get their chest puffed out after wins that they have letdowns. What the hell?
I got no problem with him saying that, whether or not it's true or not, and whether or not it's just a few players doing it. Like I could see maybe some of the young players thinking, we won, we did well, and they come in and they're still riding the high come Tuesday when they really start practicing. I could see that. But I got no problem with him saying it. Like, even if it's not true, say it so that you get the team focusing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that it's necessarily true, but when you have a lot of young players, maybe they are still riding. It's not that come Sunday they're in that mindset, but he could be hinting at, Tuesday, Wednesday, that you've got young players that are still talking about what they did the previous Sunday. Come Tuesday, what happened on the previous Sunday doesn't matter, and you don't need to talk about it. It does not matter. You're focused going forward, not looking behind.
Whatever he meant by it, this team should never be sniffing themselves. It's one thing when you had Christian McCaffrey playing as offensive player of the year and Bosa and Warner and Debo and Ayuk and all those guys, right? That's one thing. You knew this year you weren't that team, and then everybody got hurt. That's the last thing that this team should be doing. You should be thanking your lucky stars after a win, let alone, getting a little too full of yourselves. I hope that's not true. I hope he was just saying that to say that, because that's really bad. And that's also on Kyle, by the way.
Hard to say, because if you have a whole bunch of players that are just that way and they're being pressed into playing for the first time, and you're seeing that that's how they are, that they start smelling their own crap and they don't take the next week seriously after a win. Well, when they first start playing, and if you see that, then you get rid of them the next year. If you don't, then it's on you. So it's hard to say that with such a young team that's on coaching.
It's a coach's job to get guys ready to play. And that means making sure they're full of themselves, man.
But you could say that about anything. It's the coach's job to make their players develop and be good. Yeah, but if the player just sucks, there's nothing the coach could do. If you have players that are young and playing for the first time, and they're just naive and stupid because they're young and they're being too cocky after a win, there's not much a coach can do about it unless the players are open to wanting to change.
We're not talking about guys' physical ability, right? Some guys just aren't good. Coaches can't. There's nothing they could do about that. But it's so easy. Oh, you think you're really good? Here's 6 plays that you screwed up in the last game. Guess what? You're not that good. Belichick used to do it all the time. Belichick would do it to Brady in the team.
Brady he gave an example during the game that they had a game where they were never getting to third down because that was Brady's philosophy. Let's not get to third down.
Right.
And they had like 4 third downs the entire game. And the message that Belichick arrived with after the win was, we were terrible on third down. It's like, yeah, we weren't on third down. So Brady just told a story like that. But all I'm saying is a coach can't know if that's the type of a player that they are, that they're just not quite serious enough until they start playing and whether or not they act that way after a win. And if they do, then they move on from that player. So I'm not willing to say that's on coaching. I don't know.
LJL2685 says it was either Isaiah Ney or Andy Isabella or Robbie Chosen that we cut that you're thinking of.
No, because it would have been the previous season.
Jason Jfo Forced says Stafford is beyond exceptional. He's playing at an MVP level. No doubt about it.
He's having his best season of his career.
Right. He's got 24 touchdowns now, or 25 and 2 interceptions. Although we didn't talk about that, Levin. Renardo Green dropped the interception that would have completely changed this game. Would have absolutely changed the game. Stafford, that was like his maybe one mistake. This defense is allergic to catching the football. They just can't.
That's the takeaway, yeah.
They have 1 interception in their last 17 games. That's a full season. 1 interception.
You know what they should do? Bring Richard Sherman in as an expert, like, to have a speech or whatever. Bring him in for the week and give him the instruction of, we want you to come in and tell the DBs the mindset and the strategies for getting interceptions. Because to me, it's clear these DBs just don't know how to do it. Like, I don't know if they're like not practicing catches whatsoever or what, because they not only almost never get the opportunity, which is why to me, I think a lot of it just has to do with the way in which they play. They're not jumping routes. You never see them jumping routes or anything like that. So they're not going for the big play. So part of me thinks part of that is coaching. That the coaching is, hey, just never let them behind you. Don't take the risk. It's not worth it. But I would like to see them bring in somebody like Richard Sherman to say, here's the type of mindset you have to be. Here's what you need to be looking for. And here's how you need to act when the opportunity comes.
I don't know if Richard Sherman, I don't know if that would do anything, but they got to do something because what they're doing is not good enough. And when they do get their hands on a couple of passes, which doesn't happen often because they never get pressure on quarterbacks to make them have to make questionable throws. But when they do, you have to catch them. You have to catch them, especially when you're the worst team, which today, obviously, clearly the 49ers were the worst team. And that's why they lose and they fall to 6-4 on the season. Still a long way to go. 10 wins, 10 games, 6 wins in those 10 games, considering all the injuries, is still a good place to be. They still control their own, I don't want to say destiny because I hate that word. It doesn't make any sense, but they control how this season turns out the rest of the way. It's still in their hands. They still have a great record in the division. Opponent next week in Arizona that you are fully capable of beating. And let's see where they are. Let's see if they can do it, or is this season going to get away from them?
Breaking news. All but maybe 2 or 3 teams still control how their season turns out because there's too many games left.
Right. Exactly.
Sorry. It's not the time of the season to talk about whether you control. Every team does. Because if you win out, guess what? You're making the playoffs, except for the couple teams that are at like 2 or 3 wins. But the next 4 weeks will be what shows everything. If the Niners don't come to play the next 4 weeks and they don't win 3 out of 4, playoffs ain't happening. That's the way it is. So the next 4 weeks are very important. So keep showing up here and watching the shows because it still matters. I may not be saying that 4 weeks from now. Sorry, Rob.
You better be saying that 4
weeks. But for the next 4 weeks, it very much matters.
Give us a like, give us a subscribe. If this is your first time checking us out, please come back. I promise you will like what you see and hear. We're live every single weekday. We're live, obviously, after the game. We're live after all breaking news as well. I promise you there's a lot more to this season. Don't give up hope yet. Do not lose hope. If they win next week, they'd be 8-4 or 7-4. Excuse me, not 8-4. I'm giving them too many wins. They'd be 7-4 next week, and you'll be riding high. This is the roller coaster that Robert Saleh told us we were going to be on this season. Hopefully, we're back on the upswing next week. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We appreciate it. Go damn Niners, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.